I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo.
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
Hi, I'm Norm Lewis, and welcome to the Theater Podcast with Alan Seals.
Hey everyone, welcome to another all-new episode of the Theater Podcast. I am Alan Seals, and we are about to hit awards season. Well, I guess we're already here. Nominations for everything have come out by the time this episode drops. This is coming out on Friday, May 2nd. May already, geez. And nominations just came out yesterday for the Tony Awards. As I'm recording this intro, they have not come out yet, so no idea what has happened already, but best of luck to everyone, and yay and congrats to all of the new nominees. Speaking of iconic and amazing people, today's episode features one of Broadway's most iconic voices and a truly generous soul, the one and only Norm Lewis. We talk about everything from growing up in Eatonville, Florida, to almost ending up in a career completely outside of acting, and how just like a chance win at a local singing competition led to a job on a cruise ship, how that moment truly changed his life from there on out. We dug into what it really means to make it in this industry, what fame feels like when you're well known but not always recognized, how to leave an audition in the room. Something he said that was funny was the best audition is always on the car ride home. Why he nearly stayed in Orlando forever after failing many Disney auditions. Plus, Norm gets beautifully candid about aging in an uncertain business, performing with no voice, and finding spiritual meaning on stage. Of course, we dive into his current production, Ceremonies and Dark Old Men, the Off-Broadway revival where he plays a role that feels uncomfortably close to home, someone figuring out who they are later in life. And of course, we talk about his groundbreaking turn as the first Black Phantom on Broadway, founding Black Theater United, and why giving back through mentorship and education means everything to him. Special shout out to the folks at welcometotimesquare.com who let me use their amazing studio and have 2 billboards available for you to be a star for a day. So be sure to head over to welcometotimesquare.com and check them out. Don't forget to follow the podcast on social media. I'm posting clips from the episodes all the time these days. Head over to Patreon and or Spotify for the video version of this episode. So everyone, dig in. This episode is heartfelt, honest, and a true masterclass in artistry and purpose. Everyone, please enjoy this episode with Norm Lewis.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3.
Today we are joined by a Tony, Emmy, and SAG Award nominee whose career spans Broadway, film, and television, and concert stages around the world. On Broadway, he starred in the Gershwins' Porgy and Bess, Les Mis, Sweeney Todd, The Phantom of the Opera, Once on This Island, and Chicken and Biscuits, and God, so many others. On screen, you've seen him in Da 5 Bloods, The Good Mother, Pose, Scandal, and NBC's Jesus Christ Superstar Live. He's also a founding member of Black Theater United, and he is now currently starring in Ceremonies in Dark Old Men, which is returning to the New York City stages for the first time in nearly 40 years. Norm Lewis,
Yes.
Welcome to the Theater Podcast.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. This is a great setup, by the way.
Yeah, welcome to timesquare.com. We'll give him a quick shout out. Yeah. The billboard where you can be a star for a day.
Exactly.
No, you're a star for every day.
in my own mind.
Do you really not accept... I mean, celebrities, they're just like us. But do you have a moment where you're like, holy crap, I'm here. And that's where I started, but now I'm here.
Yeah, I do. What some people have said, oh, you're famous, you're this, you're that. I say that I'm known, but I don't know if I'm famous. People in the musical theater world probably might know my name, but I will probably get a lot of people who point at me and say, I know you from somewhere. You look familiar. And I think it's because I've been in their living room or they've seen me on some movie or whatever, but they don't know my name. And that's fine. It's just, but I'm blessed to have the career I've had.
I mean, unless you're like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something like a Bradley Cooper, right? Yeah. Or a Tom Cruise. I think that everyone has this problem. I was watching a clip online the other day of somebody literally who went up to Willem Dafoe here in New York City and was like, there's an actor that lives around here. Do you know who he is? Like, do you know any celebrities that live near here? And Willem's like, yeah, I could think of a celebrity, two that I might know around here. Like, the dude had no idea. He was literally talking to Willem Dafoe.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, don't take it personally.
No,
I know who you are. My fans know who you are. And so that's... all of my listeners know who you are, so that's all we need.
I appreciate
that's
that.
all we need.
Love you.
Where did you start though? Where did you get your humble beginnings from?
My humble beginnings was in church. Actually, my grandfather was a preacher. My dad was the chairman of the deacon board, and so I basically lived in church. So I did all of the church activities. It was almost like a rite of passage, basically, and. You join the choir, whether you could sing or not. I mean, we didn't have a great choir. I mean, it was great, and we made a quote-unquote joyful noise to the Lord, but we weren't known as the choir to come and listen to. But yeah, that was kind of my start, and I played tennis growing up, so that was my passion.
Really?
Yeah, that was my passion. I wanted to be a professional tennis player. I was good, but I wasn't great. So the universe, God, whoever you want to talk about, actually pointed me in a different direction. And I found this thing of singing, and I found it in high school. And because I sang in choir in church, as an elective, I chose to sing in choir in high school. And I didn't know I could sing. It was just like, okay, I think I can sing. And I went in, and the choir director said, "You have a nice voice." And put me in the bass baritone section, and that's when I had my Oprah aha moment.
But okay, what city state was this in? Am I thinking Florida?
Yeah,
right?
So I grew up in a small town called Eatonville, Florida, which is, I'm very proud of it. It's the oldest black chartered municipality in the United States. Thank you very much. Nice. There are older black communities, but we were the first to charter with the government. We have famous people. Zora Neale Hurston is from there. The book, Their Eyes Were Watching God, is about. And another famous, if you're a sports fan, Deacon Jones, who played for the LA Rams.
Yeah.
Is from Yale. So.
I'm nodding like I know what sports are. I'm like, yeah, cool.
But yeah, and I grew up that's near Orlando, so it's in the Orlando area, and had a fantastic childhood. Like I said, played tennis, found this love of performing and singing, and then later on found theater, and it kind of just grew from there.
So you mentioned Eatonville is near Orlando. Did you do the path of like trying to do the park scene and performing there? Did you do that?
Yeah. So when I got older, I auditioned for Disney 7 times. Never got hired.
What?
Yeah. I would always get a call back, but I never got hired. And I think it was a blessing because I was so fresh and new to this industry. I just was looking for artistic outlet. And had I gotten that at an early age, I still would be there right now. Because they had great benefits, they had advance. You could advance in the corporation, and in fact, I have a couple of friends of mine who are my age who actually are still there, and it's great. They have families and they can pay their bills. But I wouldn't have made it to New York. I would have been a little bit. I mean, I'm just kind of perceiving this, but I think I would have been a little too intimidated to come to New York.
Is it one of those things where if you knew how hard it would have been, or hard it was, you never would have tried? So you get comfortable in the Orlando scene? Nothing against Orlando.
Nothing against Orlando.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's a thriving theatrical community there.
Yeah, huge.
Just like I learned, I'm kind of digressing a little bit, but just like in the Baltimore, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Maryland area, there's a lot of super talented people there. I remember discovering that when I did Sweeney Todd at Signature. And I was like, oh my God, you should be on Broadway. You should be in New York. But there's kind of a comfortability that some people have there. And sometimes you get hired because they know you and you don't have to audition, or you can be brought in for an audition and you're probably in the top 5 of their choices. But, and again, there's no distinction whether Broadway's better or not, but it's just there's a level that I think is comfortable where you are. And but yeah, had I stayed in Orlando, I think I would have probably still been there.
Playing tennis,
yeah, maybe teaching or something. Yeah.
So then in high school you get into chorus, and then you discover theater. What was it that crossed that line, and then you're like, wait a second, I can do this and put them together?
Yeah, it took a little while because even though I sang and I discovered my voice, I got a scholarship to go to a community college called Lake City Community College, which is right outside of Gainesville.
Oh, I used to live in Gainesville.
Oh, you did? Did you go to school there? Or
no, I did as like a tiny
toddler.
kid. Yes.
And I discovered my voice there because I started doing some theater, but I majored in business. So theater was like my hobby while I was at school, my extracurricular at the community college. Then after graduating there, I stayed in Orlando. I went back to Orlando, and I went to a small school called Rollins College. Mm-hmm. And I went there a few, I didn't graduate, but I was there for a while, still studying business. And while I was there, I was working for a newspaper, the Orlando Sentinel. This is a long story, sorry. And I worked in the production department, and that was where basically you put the paper together so it could be delivered. Then I moved over to the marketing department for about 6 months, and then there was an opening in advertising, and I was promised that they would send me back to school, and I went and worked in the classified sales, the telephone sales, and we wrote ads for people. So I wrote ads over the phone, and eventually moved out to do some outside sales. And while I was doing that, I started doing contests in Orlando, like at different clubs and things. And I would win some, I'd lose some, whatever. But you would win some money or a trip to New York or something. And
like singing contests.
Singing contests. Yeah. Sorry, I should have just, sorry about that. But yeah, singing contests. And it was kind of like Star Search, basically. So they would have a weekly contest. And if you won that week, you would win the chance to go back the next week. And then it was like a 6-week sort of thing. And then sometimes it was a one-night deal or whatever. But this one particular one that I won, there was a producer in the audience who had a show on a cruise ship. And it was for Premier Cruise Lines, which was in partnership with Disney. And it was the Big Red Boat. Do you remember that? You're probably too young. But
I remember the Big Red Boat.
The Big Red Boat. And Disney characters would come on. But anyway, this guy offered me a job. And I thought about it, and I went to my supervisor at work, and she said, you know what? You don't want to be 85 years old saying coulda, woulda, shoulda. Go for it. See how it goes. And if it doesn't work out, you can always come back, or, you have skills now to work in advertising. So I went for it, and I did it, and I met people who were professionals in the show. I had been on Broadway and regional theater and things like that, and they encouraged me to move to New York. I was nervous because I was going to go back to school, get a degree in theater, and move up here and see what I can do. But one of the guys in the show who had done the Broadway thing said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He said, move to New York. He said, just go for it.
Yeah.
And you can study while you're there. There's teachers there. And you can audition, and you'll learn from your auditions. You'll learn from, if you get a job, you'll learn from the people that you get the job from. So he gave me the greatest advice, and I use it now when I do master classes. It's people are sitting behind a desk, the producer, the director, the choreographer, and they want you to be that person. They want you to be that guy. They have a problem. You walk in and say, hey, I'm your answer. And that's it. And you do your thing, and then you leave it there because it's none of your business after that.
It's so hard.
I know, it is.
So hard. I mean, I know we talk about this all the time on the podcast, that auditions are so far out of your control.
Right.
And even if you are somewhat like 95% right for the role, even if like they already cast someone that you would clash with for one reason or another, height-wise, or you're supposed to play a family member and you don't look similar or something, right? Like you just don't know.
Listen, it's so funny because I always use the example. I'm going to use his name just because I love him. I miss him. Gavin Creel.
Yes.
It was really interesting when Thoroughly Modern Millie was out on the road in La Jolla before they came to New York. They had another young lady playing Millie. And then all of a sudden, Sudden went on as an understudy. Mm-hmm. And they were like, okay, now we know what we need to do. But the guy that was playing her Jimmy was... I don't know if I should say his name, but anyway, he was not as tall as Sutton. So when it came to Broadway, they had to let this person go, and they ended up hiring Gavin Creel.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And the guy I know the guy that played the role. He's amazing. He's super. He was a great actor, amazing singer. But yeah.
Just like I guess it's not little for Sutton, but like little happenstance situations like that where, you just like platform shoes just aren't enough.
Exactly. Right.
Like, sorry, we got to find someone who, looks like you and sounds like you, but just is a few inches taller.
Yeah. Yeah. Crap. So that's why you just have to leave it in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, what the saying is, the best audition is on the car ride home, after you've left the audition, because you're like, oh man, I should have done that or whatever. But yeah, just try to do your best. It's your 2 minutes. Go in there, do your thing, and then get out.
This is a cliche question, and I rarely ever ask this, but because we're talking about it, you have such success and such notoriety. Do you remember one of your worst auditions?
Oh God, yeah. There's so many. Oh, there's so many. Didn't know the words really well. One of my worst auditions actually was for Les Miserables.
Really?
Yeah. I knew the show. I kind of knew some of the music, but I was in Atlanta visiting my sister, and I got a phone call saying they want to see you for Javert. I'm like, okay, and so I got the music, downloaded it, and on the plane ride there, I was trying to study, stars, and like they're out in the dark, that. So I get in, and I'm just nervous as hell for some reason, and I'm like, just like you just heard me sing, they're out in the darkness. And for those who can't see me, I'm holding up a piece of paper really close to my face, and I'm reading every note, every word, and it's just terrible. There's no acting, there's nothing. And that bombed. I'm trying to think. There's a couple of them. I'm not a dancer, so I would get called back for the singing, but then when the dance part came up, I just. So I have some terrible ones. Yeah.
Do you still audition now for things, or are you offer only?
I would say for musical theater, I think I'm kind of plus I'm a little older now. I'm a little more seasoned. I have been asked to come in for some vocal things just to see if I can hit the note or if my voice fits with whatever that character is. But so far, I've been lucky that I haven't had to audition for too many things. I did audition for Phantom though.
I was going to bring that up next because you made history as the first Black Phantom
on Broadway.
Yes.
But I auditioned for that, and they had several of my colleagues come in. Of different ethnicities, and I was the lucky one they chose. But yeah, I did audition. I think that's one of my last ones. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's been a while.
Yeah, it's 2014. Yeah.
I guess once you become a Phantom, you don't have to audition anymore. Is that kind of thing? You call up Ramin and Karamloo, and you're like, "Hey, guy, and when's the last time you auditioned?" Bro?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, come on, Ed, he's all over the place. That one, he's amazing. It's funny because when we did audition for Phantom, I wanted it so bad, but again, I did just leave it on the table. I was at the Majestic Theater in front of Harold Prince, and I remember hearing people probably heard me say this before, but I've heard the souls and the voices of people who were passed on and people who are still living, like William Warfield and Paul Robeson, and Andre DeShields, and people like that. Their voices right before I walked on that stage said, "Go get it." And it was audible. I thought someone was behind me kind of. And I went out on the stage. I did my very best. And then I said, you know what? If I don't get it, I did what I came here to do.
I think that would be so much more comfortable to still audition on stage. Like in a cold, colorless room in front of a conference table and a couple plastic chairs with people who don't want to be there in a probably climate-controlled space. Maybe not.
Right.
I have never been able to audition on a Broadway stage.
No?
No.
Not yet.
Not yet. Done plenty of auditions in plenty of rooms, but in a Broadway stage. And I just imagine being there in the atmosphere, like you said, feeling the energy, because the energy is so much of being in the space, being in the set is so much of what you bring to yourself and bring to the character. And then especially I don't know, for people who, like you said, the casting directors, everybody there wants you to be your best and wants you to do your best. Yeah. So why not put you in a space where you can do your best?
Well, I think economically it might not be feasible just because you have to hire the union, the crew to come in, and there's that cost. And then,
I sing next to the ghost light. I don't care.
I know, but it's still even to open up a theater, I think there's
$10,000 or something.
I think there's some union rules.
I know. It's kind of ridiculous. You hear that, union? Let's get auditions back on the stage. We need the city to subsidize that. That's my new. There you go. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. Well, you made history, first Black Phantom on Broadway. You founded Black Theater United. Tell us about BTU.
BTU, it came out of that horrible year, 2020, when we were all quarantined, and also the murders that had happened, and leading up to the George Floyd murder. And I just remember LaChance, the great LaChance, and the great Audra McDonald. They called each other, and they knew that people were responding to this particular situation, and wanted to kind of give a perspective from this industry. Like, where were the producers? Where were the theater owners? What were their thoughts of what was going on? And especially, it gave people permission, especially a lot of the young African American or people of color, permission to say, "Oh, well, that happened. This is what's happened to me, and I'm mad about it." Because people were really emotional at that time, really tense, and because of that, those two called their friends, and it was a lot of us on that Zoom for about 5 hours, talking about what we can do, what has been said already, and things like. And then we decided to, why don't we have a voice? And we weren't doing anything else. We couldn't do anything else. So we created this amazing union called the Black Theater United. And it's grown over the years. We're for almost 5 years. Yeah, we're 5 years.
2025 now.
Yeah, wow. Geez, time goes by. And there's so many things that we have done. It was the first time in history we had a summit that for about 6 months. And on Zoom, we put together theater owners, producers, union leaders, creatives, directors, choreographers, hairstylists, just everybody that we could think of. We had a main room where we had a facilitator that would come in and talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is not a bad word. DEI is not a bad phrase.
I can't with that right now.
And then we broke off into our different rooms, the union room, and then the producer room, and all that kind of stuff. So for 6 months, we kept doing this. And we said, say what you want to say. This is a safe space. Tell us how you feel about how we feel about certain things, and then we'll come to some conclusion and some middle ground. And we ended up having a lot of really tense, emotional discussions that needed to be had and still need to be had. And we put together the New Deal. And the New Deal is, it's not the Constitution of the United States, but what it is it's an accountability doctrine, if you will, that people have agreed to. Not everybody has agreed to everything, but overall, everybody has agreed to the overall idea of what it is. And it's still around. We still have meetings. And in fact, I think there's a meeting coming up soon. But people are saying that we want voices at the table. Yeah. If you're going to do a Black show, maybe there should be somebody who has a knowledge of the culture at the table to tell you certain things that you might not know. And that goes for, the Latin community, the Asian community. I think people are following in those kinds of footsteps when it comes to accountability. And so that's what Black Theater United's about. We have mentorship programs. We have people who work in the PR firms, management offices. We will place those mentees in those establishments, paid jobs, for about 6 weeks. They learn a lot. Whether you can sing, dance, or act, there are other parts of this industry that you could be a part of. And so that's what we want to express. And some people have actually been hired full-time from that.
Really?
Yeah, it's been an incredible thing. And so we have that. We have an amazing educational program we just started last year that we're starting with the junior high students, because that's when we think we can mold their minds to this theater thing. And then we're graduating up until right now into the high schools. Gosh, there's so many things. We're collaborating with Ernst & Young, Google.
It's just become like a legitimate big thing.
It has. And so we call ourselves, in the beginning, we were calling ourselves the NAACP of theater. So, but we just we want people to know that there's more to this industry than just singing, dancing, and acting on a stage.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, the front of house, back of house, all the marketing, the design. Now everything is multimedia.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes on to it. Okay, Ceremonies for Dark Old Men, talking about putting on a...
that.
Yeah, that show.
That show.
So tell us about that show. I saw it the other night. It's the first time I had seen it. Incredible. Your performance, incredible.
You're very kind.
And the whole cast. Just tell us about the show and how you approach it. This particular thing, which is a more, I guess, a real character versus Phantom. Is Phantom not a real character? I guess Phantom still
Depends.
Phantom has heart and heartbreak.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You try to bring truth to everything you play. So Phantom is real. But no, this I get what you're saying about this true to life character, Russell Parker, and his family. And this guy is someone who's searching for himself. He had a life where he was a vaudeville performer.
So it takes place in the 50s.
It takes place in the 50s, 1956. And he had to, because of his physicality, he's had to kind of deviate and go a different way. And so he became a barber. Now, is he successful?
You're saying like the couple of years he's been in that place,
And
the number of
like
haircuts he's
people.
given has been like, 5 people.
Right.
Yeah.
And, he was married. The wife actually was working the real job and making the real money and supporting the family. And, but I guess that it played on, his emotions in a certain way because, you're supposed to be the patriarch of the family, taking care of it. Right? But they have 3 kids, older daughter, a middle son, and a younger son. And the 2 boys are kind of, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. They see what their dad has gone through, and they kind of actually, without knowing it, they're kind of emulating him, not really knowing what they want to do. And, that's all that they've seen growing up. This guy has been struggling and trying to figure himself out since he's not dancing anymore. And it's just a real family drama, comedy. There's a little bit of comedy in there. But it's the struggles that I think people go through, or they know somebody in their family that goes through things like this, just trying to find who they are. This guy, once he gets an opportunity to start making some money, he thinks that, he only has a few years left, so why not live his best life? I'm not sure if the money is warranted or given in a way that is legal, but I think he's desperate at this point. And it's just the ups and downs and ebbs and flows of life in New York City in 1956 in Harlem. Gosh, the reason why I'm struggling with telling you exactly what it is, because it is so dense that I think you have to see the show to really understand it. The way I kind of describe it is kind of a poor man's Succession, where this family dynamic is they're really hard on each other, but underlying there's a lot of love that's there. And I think no matter what culture you come from, I think you could relate to this story. It's told through African American eyes. I think people have this story in their family.
The script itself was a Pulitzer Prize runner-up.
Yeah.
Originally, yeah. And so it's written so well, an incredible story. And like you said, I think it is relatable to almost any culture and any family that wants the best for each other.
Right.
Kind of like, you know what you know, and you follow in what's modeled in front of you by your parents, which sometimes just isn't quite the best.
Right, yeah.
But for you as Norm, when I was watching you do this, and I always wonder this about people of a certain age who are more seasoned, who get to play these roles of characters that are older and still don't quite know what they want to do with their lives. And I'm going through a midlife crisis every day, right? And so I'm like, oh crap, do I want to do this or do I want to do that? And did you take this home with you at any point? And you were like, man, I can so relate to this guy.
Absolutely, yeah. Being an actor, you never know when you're going to work again. You hope and pray that there's a job around the corner, but you never know, and you're only as good as your last job. So you're always out there grinding, and I totally related to this character because being a dancer, I'm not a dancer, but he's the dancer in this story. He's an athlete, so there really is a limited amount of time. But while you're doing it, you're free and carefree and all this kind of stuff, and you're kind of doing all kinds of things and living your life, and you might spend all your money, and you might not plan for the future like you should have. And I think probably in that time period too, in the 50s, there was not a lot of opportunity to make, a grand amount of money unless you were a performer or unless you were lucky enough to get educated and become a lawyer or something like that. But yeah, I totally can relate. I know some friends of mine right now who have been trying to do their best. I've always said, had I not had the success I've had and the blessed success I've had, what would I be doing at this age? Would I still try to pursue that dream of being this amazing performer? Or would I go, you know what, I think it's time. that I find something else. And there's no right or wrong answer, but I think everybody comes to a fork in the road. But yeah, there are days where I'm like, why am I doing this? So I'm going to retire. But then there are days where I love what I do so much that I have to get on that stage and do this performing thing. It's spiritual. So yes, to answer your question, that was a long answer. Yes, I can relate to this guy.
Yeah, I can too. Again, being a father of two young kids, two young boys of my own, I want the best for them, and then I'm going through this whole thing, and it's such, like you said, it's a comedy, but it's so tragic.
Yeah,
and it's so real and raw, and then it does this thing where you think everything's fine on the surface, and then it starts to just layer after layer starts to unpeel. And your character specifically, I didn't see that arc coming. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah,
I didn't see it coming because I was like, oh, he's the rock.
Right.
He's the rock of the family, and it doesn't turn out to be that way.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay,
Right.
all right. So yeah, it's good.
It's a lot of great, twists and turns, and the legacy of this whole show. Lonnie Elder III, who wrote this play. I wish I had gotten to know him better, know more about him before actually getting involved in this. I didn't know this show at all until I was offered it. So then I started doing some digging. I was like, oh my God, Denzel Washington,
Lawrence Fishburne,
Glenn Turman. I mean, Keith David. A multitude of people have done this show. So it has to have some special magic to it. And so that's why I was grateful that they came to me with this, and even more grateful that I get to do it, at least for this limited amount of time. Hopefully a longer period. Hopefully, never know.
Get extended.
Never know.
Knock on microphone.
Exactly.
There you go.
But yeah, it's a great play. I mean, I really know people when they're in a show and they want to promote it and the whole thing, they say these things, but I really think that this would be a magical thing for you to come and see. Like at the St. Clement's Theater, actually one of the oldest off-Broadway houses around, and they still have church every Sunday.
Do they really?
Yeah.
In the theater space or in a different room?
I think in the theater space, yeah.
That is not allowed to touch the set?
Yeah, no, don't touch the set. No.
Yeah, okay.
Or they can bless the set. No,
Just like put sage all over
exactly.
it. Whatever it is. And you do so much on TV, and like you've headlined PBS specials and released albums and performed with orchestras, and like it seems like a lot of your focus is just giving back, teaching, educating, right? Is that, am I pulling out something that's actually there, or am I extrapolating?
No, you're absolutely right. My mom was an educator, and my dad later on became an educator. And then my best friend, who I grew up next to, Leroy Fillmore, shout out Leroy. His parents were both educators, and then became principals, and blah blah blah. So I wanted to be a teacher, but then I was talked out of it because they told me you're not going to make a lot of money. So I got talked out of that. But in my own way,
so go into acting.
Yeah, go into acting.
That's way safer. Okay.
But it's been really cool over the years that I've had the opportunity to do master classes, or I've got to talk to a lot of great students, and or even have some people come up to me and say, what advice can you give me? And I've become a teacher, actually. You have to basically kind of, people are watching you. And when you do have a certain amount of success, people are watching you, want to know what it is, what's the secret, and how are you as a person? Can I work with them again? And so I want to give the best that I can give, whether I'm working on a stage or whether I'm talking to people at the stage door or whatever. And being someone who can encourage someone and mentor someone or whatever. So yeah, I love giving back, and it's not about, because I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I see this as a gift, and I know a lot of people use it as a cliche, but it is a gift. As it is given, it can be taken away. And believe me, I've been on stage doing a concert, and my voice
really,
it just completely left, and the only thing that I could get out was this, but I still had 45 more minutes. And in fact, I was doing Porgy and Bess with Audra McDonald, and
so she started singing your part.
She started singing my part, but no, I was warming up in my dressing room, and I was actually fine. I mean, there are some, when you do 8 shows a week, sometimes you kind of have to like shift gears and go, okay, I probably can't hit that note that way, but I can make it this way, that kind of thing. You don't do the same thing on Tuesday that you do on Sunday. So anyway, I was fine in the warm up. I get on stage, I'm okay the first couple of notes, and then all of a sudden it starts slowly going. And by the time, and I couldn't get off stage because my understudy was in the show. So, and I couldn't tell him that you're going to be on in a few minutes. So I had to finish the first act. And by the time Audra and I got to the duet of Bess, You Is My Woman Now, literally my voice was like this, Bess, you is my woman now. And she's looking at me, I don't know what to do. And she started singing, has, her gorgeous voice. But here we are singing this duet, and I sound like, I don't know, some ogre next to this beautiful soprano. But I left at intermission, and my understudy came on and finished the show.
So the lesson from that, your understudy, you need to have like a verbal or a visual cue.
Yeah, like a wink or
like
something.
You just come up and
blink
like,
3 times.
Go up to him and scratch your ear or something, and he's like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on it. So he can tap dance off stage, change.
No, funny enough.
On-show swap.
In this show, my understudy happens to be the first person that gets killed in the show. So we're at his funeral. And I so desperately want to go, you're on. Hey, dude, you're on. Anyway. But I couldn't do it. So, yeah. Anyway, but the point is it is a gift. And so giving back, I think, pays tribute or honor or whatever to
tennis too.
Tennis, yeah.
Do you really still play tennis?
I every once in a while I'll get out there, but I need to relearn how to play because I played back in the wooden racket days. So it's a whole new ball game now, where all of those shots that they hit now, we were told never to hit like that. In fact, my tennis coach wouldn't allow us to play basketball because of the flick of the wrist.
Really?
Yeah, because you had to have a stiff wrist. And we weren't allowed to swim because you used, quote unquote, use the wrong muscles. Yeah. I mean, we swam anyway, and I played basketball anyway. But it was you just didn't let your coach know. Nowadays, it's almost like hitting a racquetball. Like you can flick your wrist, you can hit with an open stance. We could never hit with an open stance. But yeah, it's a whole new ball game. So I need to learn how to play tennis again.
Well, if anybody's out there listening who wants to coach you.
Exactly. Free lessons. Come on.
I mean, come on over, like mentor you, and like you can do some quid pro quo. Like you can give them some acting lessons, and they can teach you on tennis.
Voice lessons, acting lessons, whatever.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the episode. But do you have a preference of plays versus musicals? And I think I know the answer, but it's a dumb question. But I want you to tell your answer because, like, when you're in a play. Mm-hmm. I feel like you can go out and enjoy yourself afterwards. You're not married to your role when you're not on stage.
Right.
And what I say by that is, like, if you're a lead of a show, you have to show up on Tuesday through Sunday.
Right.
And hopefully your voice doesn't leave you.
Well, I mean, if you're method, like I am, I would, I go home and I feel the depression. No, yeah, definitely. I love both genres. I love both, the acting and the singing and all that stuff. I will say you are a little bit more disciplined. You are when it comes to musical theater because, like you said, your voice is it or your legs are it, and you have to preserve those things in order to do those 8 shows a week. Whereas a straight actor, yes, there's a lot of great discipline in that, but I could still probably come on stage and sound more like this and not carry, not really care about what I sound like. As long as I get the message and the intent there. But I love both, man. I really do. I've only done 3 plays since I've been in New York.
This being the third.
This is the third one, yeah. And it's not because I didn't want to. It's just because economically, when a role came up in the musical theater world, it paid really well, and it was going to last a while, and it was a more immediate. I think. Sometimes, too, you probably fall into a category. When people see you as that, they probably just pigeonhole you. But I've been lucky enough to kind of break out of that. I mean, now it's different. Kristen Chenoweth has done it. Audra has done it. Danny Burstein is the king of it. He goes back and forth all the time because he's just that damn talented. Mm-hmm. I hope you're listening, Danny. But yeah, I'm glad that I'm now being considered for plays. And there's the material out there is just, there's a wide variety that.
I feel like there's a bit of a resurgence off-Broadway happening right now, especially. And I kind of want to attribute it to Titanic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. How about that?
I want to say because that was what everybody had to go see.
Right.
And then everyone started paying attention. In my purview, everyone
Mm-hmm.
started paying attention to Broadway or to Off-Broadway, and especially the plays,
Mm-hmm.
because they're, I think, post-COVID, production costs are up. We still haven't recovered audience-wise.
Right. From the
So
pandemic.
so tickets cost more because production costs are up, but there's fewer people seeing it, so it's harder to maintain a musical. So I think investors and producers are looking more at plays.
Yeah.
And you've got the turnover of some staples like Blue Man Group and others that have been in the off-Broadway houses for decades that are now they're now gone and they've moved on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Stomp, I think. When
Stomp,
did
yeah.
Stomp leave? I can't
That
remember.
was at the Orpheum?
Yeah, the Orpheum, yeah.
So that was right before Big A Jamboree went in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the success of Little Shop of Horrors as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that did well.
Yes.
And still doing well, right?
Oh, very.
Still doing well. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I like
What's funny? I'm sorry for interrupting
go ahead.
you. People ask me all the time, what are your dream roles? And so I
You want
kind
to be Celine Dion, don't you?
I want to be Celine Dion. No, I actually, funny enough, I kind of want to be, and I know this is not the right type. I'm not the type and the whole thing, but I want to be Seymour. Everybody thinks I want to do the dentist. No, I want to do Seymour. I know it's going to be like that's out of the realm of anybody's thoughts.
No.
but
Okay. Wait, let's dreamcast this here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're Seymour. That means that we need a more seasoned Audrey.
Which, I mean, Alice Ripley could do it.
Alice
Yeah,
Ripley.
she's done it.
I mean, I want to see Audra do it.
Audrey, well, she's busy, and I think
Well, you're busy.
she's a little busy. Audra, I think. I mean, I guess she would. Yeah. I don't know if she would do it though. That's the only thing. I'm not sure she would do
I'm
it.
trying to think of like TV film celebrity that can sing that. I mean, I was
Patty LaPalme.
Patty.
Listen, Lilius could do it.
Oh, Lilius
Yeah,
White.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or I mean, Shirley Ralph. I mean, there's a whole list of people.
What about Viola Davis? Can Viola Davis sing? She could sing. right?
I think so. Oh,
No?
I don't know.
No, let's Viola.
You know what?
Right,
But she
in.
could act the stuff out of it.
Sure.
I don't know.
Right?
I don't know if we can curse on here, but
But yeah,
she can act the.
she got the shit out of it.
But-
Let's see. We got. Okay,
I'll let
so Viola Davis.
I'll let you do that.
The plant is ageless. So Audrey too,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Like that. That's ageless. So you need to get like Patrick Stewart for that.
Yeah,
Or Ian McKellen.
there you
Some
go.
like really obscure person whose voice you recognize. You're like, oh, Bradley Cooper. He'd be another good one too. All right, here we go.
he
All
could
right.
do the dentist.
Oh, he would be a
Yeah.
good dentist.
Look at us casting the show.
There you go. All right.
Getting back to Ceremonies. Sorry, that's why we're here. Off-Broadway.
Ceremonies in Dark All Day.
Yeah.
It's off-Broadway. Broadway's having a resurgence. I love what I'm seeing out there. And hopefully you'll get extended. You guys, it's a limited run,
It's
right?
a limited run. We're there till May 18th. And it's just, I want to mention some names in the show. Felicia Boswell, James Foster Jr., Morgan Green, Jeremiah Packer, Calvin, don't kill me because Calvin's like the bad guy in the show. Calvin Thompson, Bryce, Michael Wood. This ensemble is beyond. They are just so cool. They're a cool cast, but they're also cool people. Like you want to hang out with them.
Calvin is so creepy.
Yeah, isn't he?
He's so creepy good.
Isn't he? I mean, he's just perfect for it because when we first started reading it, he was trying some things. He was going, and we were like, dude, just be you. Like your voice and the way you look, that's it. You're it. He's everybody's great, and I love having these three of them as my children, and then Felicia being my pretend lover, if you will. I'm trying to get this young girl. But it's a great story, great cast. And let's mention Clinton Davis, our director, who has been fantastic with his knowledge and his history. It's so funny because I didn't know. We keep talking about pushing carts, going downtown and pushing carts, and none of us knew what that meant. And then he explained to us. He said there was a period, probably around that time, that was. Where people would go downtown and get a job of pushing carts of clothing for the fashion district. So in the fashion district, all you saw were these people pushing carts and
Like the
moving
racks of
the
clothing.
racks of clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, wow. And you get paid penny on the dollar, but at least it was a job. And so when they talk about pushing the carts, that's what they're talking about. So I'm
Oh,
sick
I
of
thought it
doing
was
that.
like a homeless sort of like
No, not
literally
that.
shopping cart sort of thing.
No,
Oh,
it was an actual job, but
Huh.
it was mostly minorities that were
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. All right. Well, go see Ceremonies of Dark Old Men. In Dark Old Men. It's such a great show.
Yeah.
I want to transfer over to Plot in 60 Seconds
Oh,
here.
go, okay.
We got 60 seconds up in front of you.
Okay. Oh, God.
I have a list of 16 popular musicals in front of me.
Okay.
So you give me a number 1 through 16. It's going to correspond to a show on my list. Then you have 60 seconds to give me the plot to that musical.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. I'm bad at this. Okay.
All right. 1 through 16.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
Pick a number.
10.
10. 10 This is cheating. 10 corresponds to Phantom of the Opera. Go.
60 seconds.
Am I talking about the show?
Yeah,
Is
the
it-
plot of Phantom.
The plot of Phantom is this guy who's a Svengali, and he is disfigured, and he is controlling this young girl that he wants in the opera that is happening on this stage. He hates the. Oh God, I'm nervous. And he hates the people who are running the theater, and he wants to be paid, and he is just a monster, but yet he needs to be loved and understood. And that's all I got.
Seconds.
What about
The boat,
the boat, and he lives
and the lair,
under
and he lives in a sewer,
He lives in
and
a sewer.
and he wants to be loved. His mom, actually, if you read the book, his name is Eric, and his mom treated him terribly, and that's kind of where he is and why he is. And I can relate to him because he wears a mask and he's trying to be in public and looking pretty, and everything has to be pristine all the time. As an African American, I feel like that's how I have to live.
Oh, goodness. That opened up a whole other conversation. God, I wish
Did
we
I
had-
go there? Did I go there?
You went there.
Yeah. It was interesting because I had a lot of people who have said this kind of relates to our culture. It's like, if you
Really?
notice, the Phantom always touches himself and making sure that everything's in place when he's singing, like Music of the Night. He's making sure his wig is straight, his vest and his coat and his pants are all straight. And he's, And it was really, someone broke it down. They said, as African American, to live in this society, you have to make sure everything is in place. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode.
That's
Yeah.
part 2. Okay, so 3 standard closing questions.
Yes.
First one simply is just what motivates you.
Getting up in the morning. No, what motivates me? Actually, just making. I love people. I actually love people. I know that sounds cliche and weird, but I love meeting new people. I love getting up and going to get my coffee and seeing someone new. Sometimes I'll go to a restaurant and eat at the bar instead of sitting at a table, especially if I'm by myself, because I know that will spark a conversation. And so that motivates me.
Are you on your phone when you do that? Or are you just like, because I love doing this too, where you just go and you just sit and just make yourself available
Right.
to be talked to.
Right, exactly. I sometimes will bring a book or I'll be on my phone, but I'm open enough to, the people will say, oh, excuse me, can I sit here? Yeah. What's your name? What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And you just go from there.
You're like, I've got this podcast
Yeah.
called
exactly.
off the Broadway cuff.
Off the
thrust
Broadway
stage.
cuff, yeah.
Yes. You should listen to it. All right. What advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now, starting out down a similar path?
Oh, okay. I would say don't be scared. Just try. Do not run away, of which I did a lot. As a kid, in my neighborhood, I was good at sports. I was good at, we would have races, we would do softball, we would do basketball, we'd play football in the streets, the whole thing. And it was at a point, now I feel like I'm in therapy, but it was at a point where once the older kids would come in, it got more intense, and that made me more tense. And so when we would start playing, the younger kids, when we would start playing and have fun, I was fine. But when the older kids would come by, and if you missed the ball or if you did something wrong, you would get called a name. So I didn't like that. And so when the older kids would come by, I would run and go home. I wouldn't.
So your advice to younger self would
stay
be
in there, hang
stay
in
in there,
fight the good fight, and just
call them names back.
call them names back. Because once you stand up to someone, they respect you more. Yeah.
I like that. All right. Last question. Hardest one. If you could only see one show for the rest of your life, but you could see it as many times as you want, what would you see?
I guess it's a toss-up between Dreamgirls and Once on This Island.
Oh, it's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. Your production of Once or another one?
Well, I did 2 productions, actually. I was on the national tour. I joined it at of the original company in 1991, 92, something like that. And then seeing this particular production, which was awesome. And I love the when the audience gets to touch you. What do you call that? Inclusiveness. No, that's wrong.
Immersive.
Immersive. That's the word I was looking.
Like inappropriate?
Yeah, inappropriate. Yeah. The inappropriate company of Once on This Island. That, you know what? That's a whole new thing. We should do inappropriate theater. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh God. That's Off-Broadway.
Exactly. Off.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love those 2 a lot. So it's hard to pick from those. But I will mention as a bonus, and just because I want to honor this man, we just lost him, Bill Finn. Mm-hmm. I will say, because I was part of A New Brain, and I like that show a lot too.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. All right, where can we connect with you online? Are you on social media?
Yeah, I'm the Norm Lewis on Instagram, and I don't do the X or Twitter anymore, and I think we know why. And but then, I think the Instagram is the best way to connect with me.
The Instagram,
the gram.
You post some pictures on the gram.
We're gonna be like 20 years from now. Remember that time they had this platform called the Insta Coffee?
You want to be on my what is it? A Friendster top 8.
Oh my God!
You remember that?
Oh my God! What was it?
And you bumped somebody out, and it was the end of the world.
Yeah. Or what was the other one that went under?
Bebo?
No.
Was Bebo was pre Friendster?
I think so. Yeah. And then what was there was oh, come on! Oh, someone just bought it and they wanted to reboot it, but I don't think it worked. Because they had Napster. What was the one? Oh, come on.
Napster was music pirating.
I know, but what was it? But there was another one where we connected with each other.
Vine? MySpace?
MySpace. Yes, that's what it was. Yes, MySpace.
MySpace.
Remember MySpace?
I do remember MySpace.
Yeah.
I just Googled social networks that went under. Friendster, Vine, Bebo, Google Plus.
Google Plus.
Remember that?
Yeah, wow.
MySpace Friend Feed? I've never heard of that.
Never heard that one.
iTunes Ping? Never heard of that.
Wow.
Orkut? ORKUT? And then before Google Plus, Google Buzz. Those are the 9 that Google gave me.
I think, now I could be wrong, and forgive me if I am wrong, universe, but I think Justin Timberlake, was trying to bring back MySpace.
Why?
I don't know. I think it was because he played that guy on about Facebook.
Yeah.
That movie.
Social Network.
And I think that the Napster kind of infused the MySpace or some creepy bull. I don't know. I could be wrong. Forgive me if I'm wrong, you guys. Maybe I made that up.
We have a surprise caller. It's Justin Timberlake.
Hi, Justin. How you doing?
Welcome to the... No.
Bye. No.
That's all I said. It's good to meet you, Norm.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta say,
Cry me a river.
Cry me. Okay, so there we go.
We're having too much fun here.
Find me online at thetheaterpodcast.com. I'm on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Facebook. Leave a rating, leave a review if you are on Spotify or Apple. It helps the podcast grow. Turn to your friend and be like, hey, I just listened to Norm and Alan. Go check it out. It's really cool. Thanks to Jukebox the Ghost for the intro and outro music. And again, thanks to Welcome to Times Square for letting us use this beautiful studio. Norm, thank you so much.
Dude, this was awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
I can't wait to come back.
Yes, for part 2.
For part 2, and your co-host.
Hopefully, God, it doesn't take another social reckoning to get there, but let's do this again.
Absolutely.
Take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.